Hello YouTube, Basin Truck here. Have you ever requested how to fix LED hyper flashing? Saw traffic behind me. But anyway, we're going to go over that, and I'm going to show you on this Ford Transit how to do it, at least on this, and I will cover how to do it on other vehicles. There's really only two ways. This is one of them. It's not the best way, but it is pretty much the only way. But we'll get into that in a minute. So, first, you got your light. I'm going to show you guys on the rear here, and I'll show you the front in a minute. Now, on here, you will see the resistor. So you wire that in series in the line for your turn signal to the ground. So it goes from one wire to the other. That's what you need to do. And that is pretty much it on these. It's the same way in the front. You're going to take the power output that the signal flashes when the turn signal is on. So you need a multimeter or look at the plug, trace down the wire, and you're going to take these 20-watt resistors and you're going to tap it into the positive side and then into the negative side. Now they come with T-taps, which are the little plastic things with the metal inserts that you squeeze together, but they are a surefire way to ruin your wiring. You really don't want to use them. I mean, they're like, if you have nothing else, then maybe. But as you saw on mine, or maybe you didn't, I didn't do that. Now, the best way to connect them is to solder, but it's unrealistic for most people. The second best way is to use a high quality electrical tape and splice the wire in as if you were soldering. Now, if you're using electrical tape, there's only one electrical tape you should buy, and it's right here. This is the only electrical tape you should buy. Scotch Super 33 Plus. Now it comes in two different lengths, a longer length and a shorter length. I will have a link in the description. Now there's a Super 88, it's thicker, you guys don't need that. I get the big ones. It's 22 yards. I think you can get one that's like 33 feet. It's a much smaller roll. It's a little less expensive. But this is the best electrical tape. It doesn't freeze. It doesn't crack when it's cold. It doesn't sweat in the summer and fall apart into a gooey mess like all these cheap electrical tapes. Don't use that. If you're going to do this, don't use the cheap stuff. Get some good electrical tape. I'll have a link below, or pick it up somewhere else. Just use this tape. Trust me. It's a lot more expensive than the cheap stuff, but it's totally worth it. So, I guess I'll show you guys how to splice the wires for some of you that don't know how. Obviously, it's done on the van, but I will get some wire, and I'll show you how to do it. So, we'll be right back. So basically what you need is these two tools, or just one of them. Now, most people don't have one of these strippers, but most people do have access to a razor blade. So, if you have the strippers, great, makes it slightly quicker. Otherwise, we'll show you how to do the razor blade. I've got some wire down here, and this is going to be difficult to do because I did not bring a tripod, but we're going to try to show you guys anyway. So you have, let's say this is your wire here. Try to get this camera set up so I can make this work. So this is your wire. If you have strippers, basically you're going to need to strip the wire. This is thick wire too. So you want to break it so it's apart. I don't know if you can even see that. Hold on. Alright, so I've changed the focus now that the wire is in focus. So you want to strip it a little bit like that. Now this wire is really thick insulation and it's old, so the new wire is thinner. And then you're going to want to do it again, either down or up, just a little bit. So now we've got this little piece that's been separated here. And you're going to take the razor blade and cut this piece off. Put a slice down it and then just pop it off. So now we've got this piece of wire. So then what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to spread the wire. So you can use a screwdriver, a pick really works best, or you can probably do it with a razor blade. So the goal here is to spread it so it's like that. You've got a hole in it. So then you take the wire from the resistor. Like I said, this is really thick gauge wire. And, you know, twist it up. You're going to want a bit of length on it. Not necessarily the 1 1/4 or so that I've got here, but... And you want to thread it through the little hole you made. Then squeeze this back together. Then you're going to want to wrap this around what you did. Now you can cut off the excess. It's fine. But you want to twist it up. Now this makes a pretty tight connection. Now normally this is where you'd solder. If you want to solder, now's the chance to solder. Heat that up, solder, flow the solder, make sure it's not a cold joint. But in our case, now is where you tape it. So you want to get your tape out. And you want to start up the wire a little bit, and you want to do it at an angle here because the goal is to make it nice and tight. So make sure you get it to where it's sealed. See how I've wrapped this and it's nice and tight and it's sealed because we're trying to keep the elements out. So just keep going over it slowly, and when you get to the wire, just make sure it's tight. Now you're going to come back, so it's not a big deal if you don't get it perfectly the first time. I'm trying to keep this in camera and do it. Now this is going to keep pretty much all the water out of this. And then go back up. Change direction. Keep it all nice and tight. Go back over where it wasn't tight on the first run. And then there you have it. Cut your excess off. It's really difficult to do like this, but we're trying. So now we've wrapped it, and this is as waterproof a connection as you're going to get with this. Unfortunately, you're not going to be able to use some shrink tubing or anything because you'd have to cut this wire to fit it over it. And I mean, you can if you really want to, but we didn't. So we've cut it in, and that's pretty much going to be pretty good. And you do that on each side. So this, if this was the resistor, the other side would, you know, do the same thing. So the resistor is in parallel with the positive and the negative. Now we're going to go over the other way that pretty much only works on mostly older vehicles, but we're going to touch base with that here real quick. So we've covered installing these resistors. Now we're going to cover the older method is a flasher relay. Now they come in 2-prong and a 3-prong. A 3-prong is a powered unit. Some cars have them, some don't. Some of these only power when the light is on. And this is the thing that makes the noise that goes ding, ding, ding when the flasher's on. Now, a lot of the newer cars have these built into your cluster or a module, and they're really not user serviceable without a ton of work that you probably don't want to do. Or it's digital inside of the module. But if you have one of these, you can convert to an electronic one, which this is kind of like an electronic one. It's got its own resistor, but they've got a 3-prong one, and if you only have a 2-prong, you're going to need to add power to the one pin. And what it does, you can look it up on Amazon. I'll link one. They're a digital flasher. It doesn't matter what load you have. It will always flash at the same speed. So if you lose a light, you're never going to know by it flashing because the speed won't change. But this is how you can do it on a lot of the older vehicles. So you just swap one of these out for a 3-pin digital flashing relay. And that's how you do it. So if you have any questions, let me know. I'll link all this stuff and the tools so you guys can stop your hyper flashing. Thanks for watching. We'll catch you again on the next one. Thanks for watching. Throw a comment down below, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and share.